Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
For the best meal from south of the border, head to Cocina Real in Puente Grande for lunch and dinner. With a wide array of mouth-watering entrees, there's something for everyone on the menu. And you can't forget the cheese dip. They'll treat you like family, and you'll never leave hungry. Make Cocina Real Mexican Restaurant and Puente Grande Mexican Restaurant your choice for authentic cuisine, located in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
I'm Mike Keith, and my friends at Elliott Johnson Insurance have a great partner in Auto Owners Insurance. Auto Owners makes it easy to get life, home, car, or business insurance. Let Elliott Johnson Insurance find the Auto Owners policy that makes a difference in your life. Call Elliott Johnson Insurance at one of their 3 locations, Florence, Loretto, and Lawrenceburg. Elliott Johnson Insurance, moving forward for our clients every day.
At C&B Linen, fast, friendly, and reliable service is our promise to you. Because you're not just a customer, you're family. From multi-use linen to branded floor coverings and a complete range of cleaning supplies, C&B Linen is here to make sure you have everything you need. From our high-quality products to our fast, friendly, and reliable service, you'll experience the difference with C&B Linen. Because you're not just a client, you're part of our family. You'll be winning with C&B Linen.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome everybody back here to X Sports Live, brought to you by C&B Linen, Part 2. Kate Schultz, Michael Marks, I'm AJ Good. Our computer crashed, so that's why you're getting our show here in 2 parts. But guys, before the computer crash, I was going to bring this up. 3 new inductees into the Hall of Fame happened this weekend. Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones, and Jeff Kent. What do you guys think of the 2026 class of the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Well, I mean, Andrew Jones is just phenomenal. I mean, it was only a matter of time until he made it. So glad to see it. First time we've gotten 2 center fielders in the same year since 1979. So
Wow.
it was
Okay.
Willie Mays and Hack Williams maybe that year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I mean, those are 2 of the better ones from kind of the time I was growing up, and maybe a little bit before that era. But I mean, Beltran and Jones are amazing, and then Jeff Kent, a tremendous second baseman.
Yes, for sure. You know, Beltran had several hundred more hits than Jones did, but just 1 more home run than Jones did.
Yeah.
435 for Beltran, and then 434 for Andrew Jones. Of course, Andrew Jones, mainly known for his time in Atlanta, 5-time All-Star, and I knew more about them 2 guys than I did Jeff Kent. Just being honest with you, watched some Carlos Beltran early when I was very young, but 1,500 RBIs for him on his career. Jones had 1,200, a little over 1,200. So heck, two great careers here for them 2 guys, as long with Jeff Kent. Who did Kent play for?
He spent a lot of his
Started
time
with Cleveland, went to San Francisco, where him and Barry Bonds
Okay.
feuded all the time, which is funny that he got into the Hall of Fame before Bonds did. Then he went to Houston, and that's when Houston started on a really good run, led them to the World Series, where they lost to the White Sox. So he had a he's kind of like, he's not the first, but he's probably like the most maybe prolific power hitting second baseman that we've seen. Very good, very consistent. He also has probably a Hall of Fame injury. I think he missed a lot of training camp or a lot of spring training because he was riding an ATV and broke his thumb or something like that. How about this about Beltran? He's only one of 4 players to compile at least 400 homers, 300 steals, and 3 Gold Gloves. Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, Andre Dawson, the only 3 in that category.
And I feel like just because he was a bit more of a journeyman, Beltran, that he doesn't get the credit. That he was fantastic. And I remember, those early 2010s days when he was with St. Louis on those Cardinals teams, that were World Series good. I never won an MVP though. That's the one thing that's kind of surprising. Jeff Kent, I believe, was the 99 or 2000 National League MVP, and then obviously Andrew Jones had a tremendous career as well.
He did, and Jones, I mentioned a minute ago, I think 5-time All-Star, 4 or 5-time All-Star, I think something like that. 10-time Gold Glove.
Yeah.
Heck of a center fielder for Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think he spent some time later in his career with Los Angeles, maybe another couple of teams.
I remember him as a Yankee for a little bit.
Yeah, I think he did go. He was a Yankee for a little while.
Kent, 351 of his 377 home runs were hit as a second baseman. It's the most all time. Only 2 other Hall of Famers, Cal Ripken and Nap LaJoie, have driven in more runs as a middle infielder than Ken, who has 1,518 career RBIs.
How many did you say home runs did Ken have?
377 total, but 351 as a second baseman. That's the most all time by a second baseman.
And that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So just a second. Y'all tell me if he's got a shot. You said 350 as a second baseman.
Yeah. He's saying how many Ozzy has?
I'm about to say how many Ozzy. Ozzy's got 150 plus, and he's been. Let's see. Ozzy's sitting at.
There's only 2 guys who have
174.
Ozzy's sitting at 174 for his career, and I ain't gonna say how. Of course, I don't know. He's played 10 seasons.
Yeah.
So say he's got 5 more left. I don't know. It'd be
a little tough.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But I mean, he does have the Ozzy has a couple 30 home run years, so
he does.
You get a couple more of those, maybe you're out there.
A few hundred RBI years. Had there in 24 and 25.
A little down.
Yeah, a little down. Had an injury in 24. Actually played 157 games in 25. Just was a little down on the power. Of course, we know the year they had last year wasn't the year they've had over the past 6-7 years. But you mentioned that stat from Kent. And I immediately just thought of him because for a second baseman, he's got quite a bit of power.
I'm looking at the Hall of Fame second baseman out there: Roberto Alomar, Joe Morgan, Ryan Sandberg, Rogers Hornsby. I don't know if Cano will ever be a Hall of Famer. Who knows? But you got to get to at least the 1,000 RBI mark, and Ozzy's sitting at 639.
Yeah,
so, now. I know most of his career was kind of in the first 2 guys in the order, but it's just kind of you hate that.
Exactly.
You hate that a guy who's been so good and so consistent is not going to get the full kind of shake that he. And we're in a different era.
Yeah.
We unfortunately baseball in the past gets judged by the era that it was in as compared to the era that we're in right now. Right. Which, I don't know if we're ever going to see another 150 RBI guy.
That's what I was just thinking. I don't know if the RBI numbers are never going to be.
60 home, what Judge did in the American League, that was awesome. But are we going to have another?
Well, you think too. You see with and I'm not saying, of course, Judge is on the IL now, but you're seeing, I guess, one of the most consistent. I hate going back to the Braves. It's not. Matt Olson, one of the most consistent players in all baseball as far as playing consistent games. The powers Matt has. I'm trying to think of other ones that's got.
Home runs have kind of been down this year.
Guys like Vladdy. Well, you have Schwarber, but Schwarber bats leadoff 75% of the time.
Yeah. And that's kind of the new thing. It's just whoever your best damage guy is probably going to be top 2 or 3.
Exactly. Yeah, but and 2, you're not having guys play. You're having guys play 145, 150 games, where it wasn't nothing for back when Cal Ripken played.
To go play every day.
162.
Yeah,
like it was nothing. So you definitely that has a effect there. You would think it does anyway, but
Yeah, it's again, time will tell. We'll see
Right.
what the next generation has. Well, guys, we kind of teased it a little bit, but let's get into some college football stuff here. We're getting into the top 25, even though there's 26 teams on this list. Top 25 hardest schedules. Hard schedule. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word hard schedule?
Oh man, honestly, this year for the first time maybe ever, Ohio State.
Mhm.
They've got a rough one this year, and because it kind of felt like they would always get like Rutgers and
Yeah.
Maryland every week. This year it's much tougher. They have to go to Texas, and I'm pretty sure they play Oregon, Ohio State, or Oregon, Michigan, and Indiana this year, all during the regular season.
Okay.
We got to go on the road to USC as well, so they're playing the top dogs in the Big Ten this year. That looks like it's going to be one of the tougher ones.
I'm gonna say something as far as tough schedules. What I kind of look at is starting off your first 4 or 5 weeks, your first month. The majority, how many of them games are on the road,
Mm-hmm.
especially for college football. Of course, I'm not a big college football guy. I'm getting into that, and I'm getting to know more
Learn
things.
today.
Gonna learn a little more,
Yeah.
but I think that definitely has an impact
Right.
on even though the first several weeks is not obviously non-conference games, that sort of thing. I think that does have somewhat of a play there in how you get your season started.
Mm-hmm.
I should say, for what is to come.
Yeah.
So
So let's go to the list. This is from collegefootballnews.com. Number 26, Vanderbilt. Moving on without Diego Pavia. The SEC season starts at Auburn and with a trip to Georgia to follow. Dealing with the slew of SEC teams on the road makes overall schedule score harder, going to Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Florida on top of Auburn and Georgia. And they also got NC State. And NC State's probably going to be pretty tough. So that's pretty brutal, guys.
Yeah.
And the fact is that's probably going to be the easiest schedule in the SEC.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they, like I mentioned a minute, they do start off with Austin Peay.
Mhm.
They start off with Delaware. So hopefully they can work on some things, work some things out, possibly on their offensive line or with their quarterback communication with their running backs, that sort of thing. Wide receiver communicate, just work some things out, get some things as far as you have that. Hopefully all teams can do that, right off the bat, and hopefully they can do that early, and then as they get into SEC play, really get things going.
Yeah. Next, 25, Georgia. This is what it says. It's hard to complain too much with only 4 true road games. 2 of them are against Arkansas, South Carolina. That didn't go bowling last year, but it's not simple. Yes, there are only 4 road games, but the cocktail party against Florida is in Atlanta this year. That will likely lean Georgia, but there's only 1 game in Athens in a 5-week stretch. Not playing Kentucky or Mississippi State isn't a positive. Those are 2 likely weaker teams in the SEC. Going to Alabama, and Ole Miss is hard, and having to deal with Oklahoma will not be easy.
Yeah, I would say you can look at the toughest games on their schedule and man, they got a night game at Alabama. They got to go to Ole Miss. But I mean, other than that, it's not a lot of bad. Your road SEC games are at Arkansas, which that should be about as easy as it comes on the road. At Alabama, tough. At Ole Miss will be tough. At South Carolina, the week before Thanksgiving, they're probably already 3-7 at that point in the year. So you're not going to get a crazy South Carolina fan base. I mean, looking at it for Georgia, this is a schedule that's a little bit more favorable, and because you look at most of their tough games like the Oklahomas, the Floridas, and because I'm counting that Florida game pretty much as a home game, shouldn't be too tough.
Yeah. After that, 24, Ohio State. The Buckeyes get 2 games early on against Ball State and Kent State to gear everything up, but this year's schedule is far nastier than last, and it's all about the road games. Those 2 games against MAC teams keep the schedule from technically being far tougher. They're at Texas, at Iowa, at Indiana, at USC, and then they're at Nebraska before they're back home against Michigan. Oregon also comes to Columbus as well.
Yeah, listen, Ohio State's going to have to kind of earn it this year, and I'm glad that it's finally come this way, because it felt like the past couple of years they would get those bottom feeders in the Big Ten and just kind of coast to a Big Ten championship. This year, I mean, they're going to have a 3-week stretch or a 4-week stretch because of bye weeks in there at Indiana, at USC, home versus Oregon.
Yeah.
Well, Michigan's good, right?
Yeah.
They can play, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this too, you got at Texas, at Iowa, at Indiana, at USC, as you mentioned, and then at Nebraska. You got them tough away games, and then I think you're away at Nebraska, and then come right back to Michigan. So coming from back to a home game there with a very tough matchup.
Yeah.
You know that's probably going to be already in their mind as they're leaving, coming home. You just think of the mental side of it. That plays a part in it too.
Yeah.
So
Well, this is the first Ohio State schedule I can think of in a while that a game could beat them twice.
Yeah, that's true. 23 is Stanford. The Cardinals' schedule is tough for a slew of reasons, but there's part of this that has been kept in mind. It's proven last year teams from other time zones seems to have an issue playing in Palo Alto. They start the season against Hawaii, and then the ACC season opened up against Miami, Georgia Tech, NC State, and SMU have to come to Palo Alto. After dealing with the Hurricanes comes a run of 3 road games in 4 weeks, ending with a trip to Notre Dame. A late stretch of 3 road games isn't nice. But at least the last one is Cal.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned that road stretch,
the
going back and forth.
Yeah.
You got to go to Duke, and then back home against Georgia Tech, to Wake Forest, and then to Notre Dame. And there's not a bye week in there. Yeah. You know, which is the craziest part about that. Obviously, the trip to Duke is at the end of their bye week, but man, having that back to back to back is a little crazy. And you know, I don't know exactly why Stanford and Cal don't try to join like the Big 12 or something. I get they're probably not Big 12 material, but trying to stay in the ACC with you know that level of competition is doing a lot of damage, you know, to their programs for having to just travel reasons.
Yeah, right after that, we'll kind of power through some of these. UCLA starting out at Cal is tough there week number 1, but they go to Oregon, Minnesota, and Michigan. Then they host Illinois and USC both in November. We mentioned North Carolina. You know, they got to go to Dublin, not easy. But they're at Clemson, Notre Dame, at Pitt, at Duke. That's one stretch during the season. They get mostly home games in the second half, but Miami and Louisville are 2 of them right there. How about Oregon? They're at USC, at Illinois, at Ohio State. Then they're at Michigan State. And that's going to be tough. Then they get Michigan and Washington at home, both in November. How about Boise State and at Oklahoma State? Those
it could be sneaky, and Oregon's going to be new OC and new DC after they took head coaching jobs last year.
Mississippi State, they're at Minnesota. Then they're Alabama at LSU, Oklahoma at Texas. That's all in October.
Yeah.
Then they close out with Ole Miss at Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. We mentioned South Carolina going to Arkansas, but that comes in between games against Texas A&M and Georgia, at Bama, at Florida, at Oklahoma, at Clemson. Ooh, wow. But they still get Mississippi State and Kentucky. So that's 2 winnable games. They got
3-7 by
by
Thanksgiving.
17 is Syracuse. They got Notre Dame. There's no Miami to deal with. However, there's a strange early run of 4 road games and 5 dates. 6 road games for a Power 4 program. It's tough.
Yeah, I was about to say, typically you'd like a 7 or an 8 number.
You got Texas A&M at 16. 15 is Michigan State road games against the beatable kill the schedule score analysis to go into Wisconsin, UCLA, and Rutgers. They have to go to Notre Dame before the Big Ten season helps. First half of the Big Ten isn't that bad. There's a lot of traveling with the day to UCLA. November at Michigan, home versus Washington, and Oregon at Rutgers.
And that's tough for a team like Michigan State.
Ole Miss, number 14. Everyone talks about greeting Lane Kiffin, and his LSU team will receive in Oxford. Ole Miss is in trouble. If it loses this, it'll be even bigger trouble if it loses to Louisville in Nashville.
Yeah.
Here to start the season. 3 road games and 4 dates after LSU, at Florida, at Vandy, home versus Missouri, at Texas. And the Rebels also get Georgia and then go to Oklahoma and back-to-back weeks.
Hey, Jeff Brom likes those big ranked wins. That would be a big one.
So they're starting in
Nashville against Louisville.
Yeah.
And that's more of a home game for Louisville because it's
I was about to say it's straight down.
Straight
down. USC at 13, at Rutgers, home versus Oregon and Washington. They're at UCLA, but also at Penn State, at Wisconsin, home versus Ohio State, at Indiana. That's all in the back half of the season.
And that's
right there.
typically when those Lincoln Riley led teams start to linger. You don't want to see that happen this year. It could be his last.
Yeah, Kentucky at 12, Bama at Texas A&M. That's how they start the SEC. Then they're at South Carolina, LSU at Oklahoma. It says right here they might start SEC season 0-5 before getting Vanderbilt. They do miss Georgia and Texas, but in November they're at Tennessee, home versus Florida, at Missouri, host to Louisville.
Boy, Will Stein's going to have a rough welcome to the SEC.
Yeah, and then Tennessee is at number 11. Of course, they go to Georgia Tech week 2. Kennesaw State, who's the Conference USA champions, they come to Knoxville after that. Texas is the SEC opener. Bama also coming to Knoxville, but it's in the second half. After Bama, they're at South Carolina and Kentucky, but then they're at A&M, home versus LSU at Vandy.
Yeah, that last 3 weeks are going to be very big, depending on what obviously Tennessee or Texas A&M and LSU's records are heading into those games.
Then at 10, Colorado. Okay, so they're playing 11 Power 4 games. They have to go to Georgia Tech and Northwestern.
Yeah, I don't know why they scheduled that like that.
Then they're at Baylor. That's their Big 12 opener. They go to Baylor actually, and then they get Texas Tech, Utah, and Kansas State. Maybe their easiest game might be UCF, which is the last game of the regular season. They're
and that's no slouch.
LSU, Clemson.
How are they at 10?
Yeah.
LSU is Clemson to start the season. Then the SEC opener at Ole Miss, and then with Texas A&M at home next, and then they finish with at Auburn, home versus Bama and Texas, at Tennessee, at Arkansas.
Listen, winning that Clemson game week 1 is dire for LSU. I don't think they're going to win at Ole Miss, so they don't need to start 1-2.
Yeah, no, that's pretty big. A lot of SEC teams in here, understandably, for all the right reasons. Number 8's Florida. The cocktail party against Georgia is neutral site, but it's in Atlanta this year, not Georgia. And then the SEC opener at Auburn. Then they go to Missouri, Kentucky, and Florida State. Those are all road games. And then they have Texas and Georgia and Oklahoma all coming to Gainesville.
First time in 34 years, no Tennessee and Florida.
Wow. 7, Michigan. Oklahoma took care of Michigan and Norman last year. They come to Ann Arbor. They also got Iowa, Penn State, Indiana. And then they got Michigan State, a trip to Oregon, host UCLA at Ohio State. That's how they end in November.
Yeah, it's going to be a big job for first-year DC. Jay Hill came with Kyle Whittingham from Utah, so he's going to have a big job this year.
Missouri, number 6, Mississippi State and Arkansas are road games. Mizzou is good enough to beat them both. Then they got A&M, Texas, Oklahoma. Kind of feels like they're back in the Big 12. Then they go to Georgia and Ole Miss right there in the midsection of the season in a 3-game and 4-week
Probably take a loss to Georgia and Ole Miss there.
And they're going to have a new offensive coordinator and a new quarterback.
Yeah. Bama at number 5. They got Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Vandy. Those are all on the road, and they go to Tennessee and LSU. Home games, East Carolina, Florida State. And then Georgia and Texas A&M are home dates there as well. And then they go to LSU and Vandy in back-to-back days. Arkansas at number 4. Yeah, it's a theme. Let's see.
Yeah, they got
tougher, perceived easier games on the road. They go to Auburn and Vandy. They go to Texas and A&M, having to host LSU. Oh wow, they got on the road at Texas and Texas A&M and close out with LSU.
Well, I would say they have a 2-week stretch where you go to Utah and then home against Georgia.
Yeah. They get North Alabama to start it off.
Yeah.
UNA.
Yeah, paycheck game.
Yeah,
paycheck.
See what happens.
We all know.
Better hope.
Yeah. Number 3, Purdue. Not all horrible. Purdue misses Ohio State, Oregon, and Michigan, USC, but that just shows how tough the rest of the slate is. Have a home game against Wake Forest, and then right after that, host Notre Dame, UCLA, and Illinois on the road are their first 2 Big Ten games. That's right after Notre Dame, and then having to go to Indiana, Penn State, and Iowa all in the second half.
That just seems more of this schedule's hard because we're bad more than this schedule's hard because because a Big Ten schedule without Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, USC. That's 4 of your 5 best teams.
Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa could all.
Oh yeah, I would say those, and those are
and Notre Dame.
That's the thing. Purdue misses Ohio State, like you just mentioned. No Oregon, no Michigan, no USC. But it just shows how tough the rest of the Big Ten is because you're so bad.
And you mentioned Notre Dame, Indiana, and Penn State could all make the playoff this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no reason why they couldn't. Number 2, Oklahoma, Kentucky, and Norman. There's a one SEC game that should be relatively safe. South Carolina is more dangerous, and going to Mississippi State is a landmine. Georgia and the Red River Date with Texas. That's to start the SEC. The road game in Michigan comes 2 weeks before they take on Georgia.
Oh, and their bye week becomes after their first SEC game. So their season ends with 8 straight weeks of SEC football.
Wow. And then number 1 is Texas. Ohio State is number 1. And then they start the SEC with Oklahoma and at Tennessee. And then they've got tough road. You have more. So you'd like to have more tough games at home. Ole Miss comes to Austin, but Florida, Arkansas, Mississippi State are home dates, and the Longhorns go on the road to LSU and Texas A&M, and have Missouri and Tennessee all on the road.
Well, and you look at that Tennessee game coming week 4. You could be 2-2 Texas team heading into their bye week.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's take a look at the easiest easiest college football schedules. You got Missouri State at 26, Delaware, Miami, South Alabama, Coastal Carolina, Michigan. I'm just going to scroll all the way down to the top 10 easiest schedules. Probably not going to see any Power 4s on here.
Yeah, I would say I'm curious to see what the highest rated Power 4 team would be in this.
I haven't seen.
I would say I don't know if there even will be one, just because of strength of scheduling and stuff like that.
UCF is USF. My bad. False alarm. Yeah, let me get down to number 10. Yeah, Troy's right on the outside at 11. Number 10 is Sacramento State. It's their first season in the MAC. They don't have any games against Power 4 teams. Hawaii, okay. They travel. They get Hawaii, Mississippi Valley State, and UMass at home. They just have, after October 24th, they only have one more road game in the final 5 weeks. That's at Central Michigan. MTSU.
Hey,
number 9.
Number 9. Let's see. The only really bad road trip is to Kansas. They get Delaware, Kennesaw State, Western Kentucky all at home. Buffalo at number 8. Yes, November has 3 road games in the final 4 dates, but there's a week off before and the extra day to rest in between trips. In Miami, Ball State, 2 FCS games against Albany and Robert Morris. The Bulls are at home for every game but one from September 26th to November 3rd.
That's rough.
Yeah. How about my boys, the Thundering Herd, coming in at 7. Back-to-back road games against Old Dominion and Georgia Southern are tough, but that is it for road games for 2 months. Missouri State and ULM are winnable away dates.
Lincoln Memorial, is that right?
What's that?
What's ULM?
Louisiana Monroe.
Oh, okay. Lincoln
3,
Memorial.
Yeah.
What?
Well, that is a school.
That's a base. It is a school.
Yeah. They have a 3-week midseason stretch without a road date is a big break. Ohio U comes in number 6. 3 road games and 4 dates are broken up by an off week. MAC road dates against Kent State, Sacramento State, and Akron. More make up for the trip to Miami University. Ohio does not leave the state of Ohio after October 17th.
Yeah, that's a nice break to catch.
Toledo,
but that's kind of how the MAC works.
Toledo at 5. Opener at Michigan State on the road, but good Temple. But a good Temple and San Diego State games are at home. Getting Western Michigan at home is a huge break. 6 of the 8 MAC games are against teams that didn't go bowling last year. So,
I mean, anybody bowling in the MAC. Yeah. I mean, you get 3 or 4 maybe.
Yeah. Jacksonville State. Aren't any games against Power 4 programs, but the trip to North Dakota State won't be easy. There aren't 2 road games in a row all season.
That's a nice break.
And not having to play Liberty in Conference USA. It's a pretty good break for them as well. How about UMass coming in at number 3?
The Minutemen.
Not playing Western Michigan, Ohio, or Central Michigan, and the MAC helps. 2 games against FCS teams, Sacred Heart and Stonehill, are both at home. There's just 1 road game after September 3rd to October 17th. Wow. How did UMass get that break?
That would be nice.
Yeah. FIU comes in at number 2. All the home games against the projected worst Conference USC teams make the slate among the lightest. There aren't any games against Power 4 programs. The Panthers don't leave Florida until October 13th. So
I like how some conferences work that way. Yeah. You just don't have to leave your home state.
Notice a trend. All of Conference USA pretty much is on this list.
I don't know if they just top heavy or bottom heavy their schedules, but it's a lot of CUSA.
Number 1 is Liberty. They missed Jacksonville State. Makes already not bad conference slate easier. Going to James Madison won't be easy, but there aren't any Power 4 games on the slate. Of course, there aren't 2 conference road games in a row. Again,
And when
good.
we're looking at Thanksgiving, we're like, man, Liberty's 11-1. How did they do that? It's this easy schedule.
Yeah, that's definitely easy. But we're going to close out the show. We're going to go right back to where we started last year, guys. It's called Name That Schedule. Now, I'm just going to give you the opponents, not the dates.
Okay.
I will tell you home or away. So, open up the season at home versus Northern Illinois. Then they are home versus Iowa State. Then they're home versus Northern Iowa, at Michigan, home versus Ohio State, at Washington, week off, at Minnesota, home versus Wisconsin, at Northwestern, home versus Purdue, at Illinois, home versus Nebraska.
USC.
That's not a rough schedule at all.
I don't know. Michigan, Ohio State back-to-back.
Yeah.
That's rough.
And then you got to go to Washington. That's probably the
roughest
sketch right here. Illinois, Nebraska to close the season is not going to be easy. And plus you got somewhat rivalry games against Minnesota and Wisconsin there.
I've got it. I'm just waiting to see if you're going to come up with anything.
Oh, I am. He's already saying
This is Iowa.
This is Iowa. I mean, you look at it, Iowa State, even though new coach, it's a rivalry game. But,
and that's going to be in Iowa City this year, right?
Right. And night game on Peacock.
Ooh.
They've already released a lot of times. I've noticed a lot of Tennessee's times are out as well. But that at Michigan, home versus Ohio State, at Washington, that's going to be
if they could sneak one of those
tough.
games and pull one of those off, this could be a sneaky Iowa team.
All right, guys, our final one opening the season. Home versus Missouri State, home versus Arizona State, home versus Kentucky at LSU, home versus Arkansas at Missouri, home versus the Citadel at Bama, week off, at South Carolina, home versus Tennessee, at Oklahoma, home versus Texas.
He's got it.
This is brutal, man.
It ain't Ole Miss, is it?
No.
Right conference.
Right conference.
Yeah. Florida.
No. Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is Texas A&M.
Yeah. What signaled it?
The Arizona State game, week 2.
Yeah. Which is, I'm looking at this.
I knew it was an SEC game. I knew it was an SEC team.
I'm looking at a possible 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses.
Yeah. Well, go back and look at their schedule from
losses.
last year.
Yeah.
And out of their 8 SEC games, 7 of those 8 were against the bottom 7 teams in the conference, and the other one was Texas, and that was their only conference game they lost.
Wow.
So I think they benefited from a really easy schedule last year. They're going to have to earn it this year.
Around.
Yeah.
Always comes around.
Yeah.
Guys,
I would say we're going to see how good of a coach Mike Elko is and how good of a quarterback Marcel Reed is.
and we are not going to stop this game until Cade guesses one, right? So we're going to do it.
Let's do
We're
it.
going to do it. So for Cade Schultz, Michael Marks, I'm AJ Good. We'll see you guys Wednesday and Friday later this week.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.